Paula, thank you so much, and thanks to the ambassador and to Karen again for joining me. We're going to start just talking a little bit about the media landscape, if we may. It's extremely fragmented, perhaps more so than ever. There seems to be a saturation of content. I noticed that there are new media news organizations popping up almost every week, whether it's News Nation or Newsy, etc. So what do you make of this, and how do you position PBS so that it stands out amid this cacophony of options?
Well, I often say that media is not for the faint of heart, and it is certainly, particularly in the last couple of years, become that much more complex. And I think if you look, particularly over the last couple of years during this period of the pandemic, where you see what I think has been just a rapid acceleration of change in the way that people are consuming media, it is indeed very fragmented. And I think for organizations such as mine, we're a media organization, we're also a nonprofit organization. So I often say that we use the same tools, but we're not quite in the same business. It's interesting, with such a proliferation of media organizations, there also has been a collapse of local media. If you look at what's going on in newspapers in particular, you see that although there appears to be an ever-growing source of information, even in the digital space, a lot of that is based on the coast. Actually, Miami has been the recipient of a great import of a lot of people that are in this space. So I think you're probably well served. But in many parts of the country where I travel and visit our local stations, our local public television stations, along with our public radio brethren, are often the last remaining locally owned, operated, and governed media companies. And I think that has significance. We're local media. When I first took this job, which actually is almost 16 years ago this month, it was, people said to me, wow, you're running this big enterprise. And I said, you have to understand the structure of public television, which is a little different than anyone else, in that we are, in fact, local first, national second. So PBS itself was formed by all of our stations as a way to create scale and to produce programs on behalf of the collective. So a news hour and a frontline and a great performances and Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, all of that is created by this national organization, which is then distributed out to our stations. But inherently, we're local organizations. They're all independent. They all have their own boards. So they're very deeply anchored in local communities. So it sounds like a long-winded, meandering answer to your question about the media landscape, but actually it's at the core of what differentiates us from everyone else. Is what we have this very deep anchor to local community. We're focused on local issues. And then we also have the ability to look across the country, and then by extension to look across the world. Our motivation at the end of the day is a service one. And so we were created with this idea that media is not just an entertainment tool, but when it really hits its mark, it should also be educational, and we really hit our mark, inspirational. That's not exactly what you think about if you work at another media organization. And I'm not disparaging other media companies. There's a lot of great work that happens across the industry. It's just the focus is a little different. Mm-hmm. And so if you get up every day thinking about how do we improve the lives of individuals, how do we improve the lives of communities, you make slightly different decisions about what you're going to program, what you're going to bring in terms of the service that you provide, and even what platforms you're using in order to connect out. And that's where I think we've been able to somehow, even in the midst of now all of this noise, continue to be able to find a path that is quite different than what everyone else is doing.